YouTube. Rearrange your name tags.
I did not do that all the way.
You can stop on April Fool's Day joke. Good evening. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2024. I'd like to call the regular Board of Selectmen's meeting to order.
Stephen Sedlak.
Troy Lemire.
Paul Marino.
Bob Geiger.
Todd Archelashi.
Glenn Albanesius.
William Hester.
Andy Perez.
William Pozo.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Item 3, agenda review. Anyone have anything? Seeing nothing, moving on to item 4, approval of minutes. The minutes of our regular meeting on March 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Discussion? Corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor? Troy? Is that a yes, Troy?
Yes.
Unanimous?
Trying to open my packet.
The minutes of our special meeting on March 21st.
To approve the minutes.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion? Corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous? Moving on to item 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and may speak once. Please give your name. Who would like to speak? Come on up. We ask that you speak into the microphone so they can hear you on the recordings.
Good evening. Is this on? Okay. Thank you. I'm Julie Scharnberg from the Northwest Connecticut Community Foundation, located at 33 East Main Street in Torrington, Connecticut. We represent 20 towns in Northwest Connecticut, including Winsted. To the Mayor and the Board of Selectmen, on behalf of the foundation, we would like to offer our very strong support for the continuation of the full-time social services coordinator position. In 2019, the town submitted a grant application to the foundation's Northwest Hills Building Healthier Communities Fund to provide 3 years of startup funding for that position in order that, quote, the town of Winchester become a healthier community and to continue improving our economic and quality of life growth. This person will provide help coping with issues we see on a day-to-day basis throughout the community, close quote. As noted in the application, the intention was to continue funding the position as part of the town's regular budget after grant funding expired. The outcomes over the past 3 years have been impressive, especially the increase in people served when the position transitioned from part-time to full-time. 653 people as of December 31st, 2023 directly impacted, a monthly average of 30 people every month. In 2020, the position started in November of that year. served 12 people as a part-timer. In 2021, 78, again as a part-time position. In 2002, when the position transitioned to full-time, 202 people. And in 2023, 361, including 22 people from Colebrook, Barkhamsted, Riverton, Norfolk, Canaan, and Torrington. Now in its 4th year, this position was envisioned and filled at a time when the town's published poverty town rate was rapidly increasing. The CERC Town Profiles reported 8.2% in 2018, up to 17.1% in 2021. The percentage of students eligible for free or reduced price lunch in the 2018-2019 school year was 65%. Now, while the town's poverty rate has moderated to about 11% last year, 65% of students still qualify for free or reduced price lunch, an indication that families with children consistently continue to suffer the impact of insufficient income compared to ever higher costs of basic needs, such as housing, utilities, food, and personal transportation. As the second largest municipality in Northwest Connecticut and a secondary social services hub for the region, prior to this position being in effect, the lack of a full-time social services coordinator resulted in very inconsistent assistance for residents who had to unearth assistance programs on their own and then attempt to make all the necessary connections to access those programs. There continues to be a significant demand for services, not just from Winsted residents, but from adjacent small towns that do not have a dedicated social services coordinator. Of note, 48%, sorry, that's my timer, of people who were homeless, evicted, searching for housing resources, having difficulty with their landlords. 48% of service requests were related to housing. The current social services coordinator is an active participant in a number of cross-sector human service collaboratives, all focused on marshaling best available services coupled with the most efficient use of resources for the benefit of the community. We have always found her to be very practical and creative, helping others in the region to think about how resources available to the wider region and their individual towns can be used more effectively. She has essentially provided a blueprint for Winsted and other towns in the region by establishing strong relationships with local agencies, other human service providers, identifying both outside resources and ways to coordinate existing resources to better serve people, and firmly establishing the position as one that provides great value to the town and the entire region. Northwest Connecticut must continue to work as much as possible as a coordinated region, and Winsted's Social Services Coordinator is a critical contributor to that effort. Winsted has been extremely fortunate to have had such an experienced person in this role for the past 4 years. The skill, heart, and dedication that have been brought to Winsted residents struggling with any number of basic needs are invaluable assets to the town, any local resident seeking assistance, and others working in the human service field. Thanks for the time tonight.
Who else would like to speak? Anyone else? Seeing none, moving on to item 6, Town Manager's Report.
I don't have to tell you, most of this week has been spent on the budget. Anne Marie is here. We spent the majority of our time on the budget. Also, I have been preparing for the new town manager and accumulating all the different facets of things he needs to address in terms of reports, unfinished business, making sure that he's going to try to be down here probably 1 day a week for the next 2 weeks. He's going to start the 22nd. So part of my job is to make sure he's ready to do so and have all the information and data that he needs. So he and I are in communication. This week has been budget in preparation for the new town manager. And you're going to see the results of everything we've been working on here tonight as we kind of present what we're doing. As you know, this is a process. This is another a draft session with the selectmen here, and I think we made another round, and we're getting closer to finalization. Probably not quite there yet. We'll see how that goes in terms of what you all think tonight. That's it for me at the moment.
Any questions for Bob? Item 7, correspondence. Does anyone have anything to discuss? Item 8, boards and commissions. Steve?
Thank you, Todd. We have, if you look at the information in your packet, we have some new names for consideration for our boards and commissions. And so we'll start the vetting process for Courtney Puckett, who is interested in being a member of the Cultural Commission. Ken Kozlauskas, who's interested in becoming a member of the Recreation Board. David Lapointe, who's interested in becoming a member of the Ethics Commission and the Water and Sewer Commission. So we'll begin the vetting process. We have no nominations in step 2, but we do have appointments to be made this evening. And I would move that we appoint Linda Dew as a member of the Historic Commission, term to expire in 12 of 24.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Troy. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous?
Further, I will move to appoint Victor Dubourg Jr. To the Recreation Board as a member, term to expire in April of 2027.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And lastly, I will move to appoint Lorraine Carbone Craig to the Soldiers Monument Commission, term to expire in June of 2025.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And as usual, we have vacancies on many of our boards and commissions. We invite members of the public to contact the town clerk at the town manager's office and get more information on how to apply. That's it, Todd.
Thank you, Steve. Moving on to 9, unfinished business. Item A, 24-11A, consider and possibly act on the Historic Commission Ordinance Amendment. This will be the second of 3 meetings. Bob?
Okay, I think you're aware of the background, but the town of Winchester recently added an ordinance creating a historical commission. I am requesting a change in this ordinance with regards to the town historian's position with the historic commission. I would ask the Board of Selectmen to put forward this amendment to the Historical Commission ordinance. This would be the second of 3 meetings. The requested action. I ask that the Board of Selectmen please consider adopting the proposed ordinance change, which is attached to your packet here, to the historian positions and roles in this commission. If the board is in favor of such action, it could adopt the proposed ordinance at the 3rd meeting. This ordinance would need to be considered again at the April 15, 2024 meeting for the final adoption. Fiscal implications, such a change to the ordinance of this commission would have no costs associated with its operations. So I move that the Board of Selectmen consider the change to the ordinance regarding this position and role in the Historical Commission to be effective after the 3rd meeting as provided by the town charter.
You have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Discussion? All in favor? This is recognized as the second of 3 meetings. Moving on to new business. Item A, consider and possibly act on the Board of Selectmen proposed cuts for the 2024-25 town budget.
Okay, so let me, to start here, the first 4 items are here are revenues suggested since the last meeting. And I think we're gonna wanna propose, you want me to propose, we'll talk about R1 on your list here. Grant income, Department 999, Social Services Grant, account number 199-710-0510- 4 zeros. The original budget, the revised budget, and the budget change. I said I want to record $50,000 in that budget line item for the social services grant to record anticipated grant income from building healthier communities and potentially other grants that would be fun to help fund this other half of this position. So we're proposing keeping the position in and continue a 50% funded rate, which I believe we can get from grants.
Is there a motion?
These grants, Bob, that we have, and this grant is now gonna happen, is that correct?
Yes, we believe this grant will happen. So I'm doing some proposed, you've heard some commentary here already. We believe that we should be able to fund the other half of this position, which had been grant funded. We will continue that grant funding and continue the position.
Do we have a motion to accept?
Candy's got a question.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the grants, perhaps there can be transfers from some other categories into the grant funding for this, and then perhaps, as we talked about at the last meeting, taking money back from other grants that went out that hadn't been spent. One of the things just to note as we fund the social services position, because there seems to be a lot of interest in it, is, we did start this and we saw the need for it, and today we see from, the information we receive from people that we still need, there's still a great need out there. One of the things I would say to the people that have asked for this is to realize, and has been noted and made mention of, is this is similar to a regional service here in the community, and if we note that there are other towns that we are being helped by this grant. So, and some of these things that we see it's a regional aspect. So as we continue down the road and as we continue with these budget discussions, in general here and otherwhere, is that perhaps the COG can help a little bit more, and does the regional approach in terms of funding, not as well as the amount of time that we're spending, and helping that maybe the towns that don't have social services directors in the future can maybe perhaps help when we're helping them. And I'm not speaking of, the other bigger municipality, but some of the smaller ones that were mentioned in one of the letters that we got. So while we'll fund, again, this year and fund the position and keep it going, I think in the long term, hopefully when our new town manager gets here, he can have some conversations at the regional level to talk about how does something like this extend out when we're crunched for the funding that we have. And we've been very fortunate, and that's why we've been able to help other people, is because of the grant funding. But as we get closer to our own funding is to look at that.
Okay, we did start this position under my auspices, I don't know, several years ago. And we realized it was going to morph as it grew. We weren't exactly where or how. We started with the college to help us out. We arranged all our local foundations that were close around us, and it has developed further now. So we're back to funding again, and how wide do you go? Well, you heard someone speak earlier that we're already servicing several other towns. So there's ways I'll work with the new town manager on that as well, on how to expand that and the funding for it.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on that too, because that was some of my thoughts when this came about. When I was receiving emails today about all the towns that were involved in this, I'm just wondering why we have to have it in our budget. Is this something that we could give to the COG, and it could be a position out of the COG where it doesn't have to be in any town's budget? Just a thought.
I would say yes at this point, because in Torrington and Winston are unique. We're the larger municipalities, and you heard it mentioned that we were the second largest municipality. And our own needs are pretty great. That's why it came in years ago. I think that I think the pressures on both towns, because Torrington just advertised for a social services position as well. And it's really, it's helped in so many areas. It's helped the police, it's helped the senior center, it's helped Greenwood's mental health. All the things that you saw, it's helped. So I think that by using some more grant funding and our current, paid out of the general fund for the position, I think it's as an advocate of its start, and as a board has supported it, the previous boards have supported it over the years. I think if you're in the middle of and helping, you'll see why it needs to stay, but going into the future, I think, like I said earlier, is to try to find a way with more help. Like you said, regional and stuff, they did have a position at one point, but it didn't, I don't think it got funded.
Because if I understand this correctly, Candy, we have a grant that's going to potentially pay for a little under half of it.
Yes.
We're going to fund the rest of it.
Yes.
Plus the benefits.
Yes.
So it's not inexpensive to the town, even with the grant.
Right.
So some regionalized help would be tremendous.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting at. The COG is in a position to get the grants, and if it isn't funded by grants, then all the towns would share in the cost. That way it would be more economical for all of us.
Is there a motion to approve this change?
I'll make a motion to account number 19971100510 with 4 zeros after that, to add to the budget line $50,000 social services grant, BHC.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? 601.
R2, the second item on revenue changes here are education cost sharing, account number 1999720 0007, 4 zeros again. The original budget was $8,024,957. I think we're revising that down by $200,966, which our finance department and Anne Marie is closer to reality, because we have failed to receive 100% of that in the past. So this is just an adjustment to make sure there's no surprises at the end of next year. We think this is closer to reality, so there's no real change other than adjusting our revenue to what we think is reality.
Is there a motion?
I move that we accept change R2, which is account number 1999-720-0007-0000, to revise the budget in the amount of $7,823,991, which is a change of $200,966.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bill. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? R3.
R3, this is fund balance. We've had a lot of discussion about this, and I think all of you on the board have been over what that means to us, what the highs and the lows mean. And so it's what I've done here is I'm suggesting under Department 999 again, the allocation of fund balance, account number 1999790, all zeros, 4 zeros and 4 more zeros, be adjusted from $1.5 million to $2 million total, to allocate the fund balance to pay for planned capital projects.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to do the allocation of the fund balance 1-999-790, 4 zeros, a dash, and 4 more zeros of $2 million.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Troy?
We went through the capital stuff, and we took a lot of the capital out. And this $2 million can only be used for capital, correct?
That's the intent.
Yes.
So it can't go into the regular budget?
No, it can't be an operating.
Where were we at with the capital?
We had a couple of meetings on that, so on the finalized budget, I believe,
The back here,
Yeah.
general fund.
so we made those adjustments, so it corresponds.
We shifted some of the capital improvements from the regular budget to capital so that we could fund it this way.
Right.
And that helped us lower the general budget.
And then you all were part of the meeting last week when I brought
Okay, yeah,
Jimmy
here it
over.
is.
We took it down some more, pushed some things out farther in the future that we thought were safe to do.
So on the capital budget that we have presented tonight in our packet, there's been movement since the original budget, correct?
Yes.
Bob, Anne Marie?
Correct, those are the ones we had.
So we would need to adopt this revised capital plan after we move the money, right?
Correct, that would be one of your other motions, that's part of the expenditures, would actually allocate the money towards capital.
Right, but the actual capital items would have to be approved here.
So,
I think
go ahead.
you can I would think that you can approve that schedule as presented, but your line item transfers coming out of the general fund are the line items that are gonna approve the actual funding.
Right, but we still have to approve the capital schedule.
Yes, you would. But by the way, that capital schedule is everything we had discussed, so there shouldn't be any surprises in or anything.
No, but I mean, I'm
You
just
still have to
talking-
prove it.
I'm just talking about from the first time we received the budget.
Right.
The Board of Selectmen has to move these line items, but also has to approve the
Right.
capital change schedule.
Correct, so that has to match. Is that your question, Troy?
Well, I'm trying to look at the bottom line after we did all the cuts. I don't remember what the number was. Where would that be listed under here?
On this last page in the big handout, matches down at the bottom.
You're looking at it there.
E16
This one
and
right here.
E17. Troy, E16 and E17 on the one page translates over here to the back page of the
Okay.
large papers. Because Anne Marie gave me a tutorial before.
Other discussion? Troy, you all set?
Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? 6-1.
Okay, the last item here on revenue, this is revenue gain, a transfer in, Department 999 transfers in on the opioid settlement. This account number 1-999-799-0002, 4 zeros. So it's $12,500, $7,500 from Greenwoods Counseling, $5,000 supplement to the Social Services Director's salary. So again, this is part of the grant we're funding, moving over to cover the rest of that. That's part of the grant portion for the Social Services Director.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Candy.
I make a motion to transfer in from opioid settlement 199-799-0002, 4 zeros, $12,500.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion?
So as I understand it, the opioid settlement has limitations on what it can be used for. I'm presuming that these fit those,
They do.
okay?
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Try your abstaining. 502.
I think Bill did too.
Yeah, 502.
All right. So moving on to the next list are expenditures, based on your recommendations and discussions that we've had. So E1, Assessor, Department 115, the item was administrative salaries. Account number 1-115-190, again, 4 zeros followed by 4 zeros for the account number. The original budget was 220, revised budget was 148, a reduction of 72,890. The possession to possibly eliminate one assessor position, restructuring the department or departmental staffing.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the change on the assessor's office to eliminate one assessor position, restructure for a savings of $72,890 to account number 1-115-190 -4 zeros -4 zeros.
Is there a second? I'll second that. Discussion.
Yeah,
Troy?
so this number here, could ultimately be higher depending on the position you eliminate, correct?
Well, it's possible. I mean, you've got FICA, you've got some smaller, that's the major portion. And there's certainly a pretty concise estimate at this point, because we talked about, you know, it's still to be assessed, the entire department.
Right.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 3. Opposed? 3. Abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
331. Next.
Item E2, Economic Development, Department 125, Administrative Salaries, account number 1 am I on the right track here, 125-190, all zeros to follow, $48,000. The purpose was to eliminate the Director of Economic Development position, previously ARPA funded.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
This was grant funded.
Yes, this is
I was originally grant funded,
Yes,
and the grants have run out.
correct. All in favor? Opposed? 6-1. E3?
E3, Land Use, Town Planner, Department 148, Town Planner Salary, account number 1-148-190- triple aught 3, 4 zeros to follow. $79,800 to eliminate the Town Planner position from Land Use.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Troy, is there a second?
Second.
Bill, discussion?
Bob, could you talk about the impact of this eliminating the position?
The impact is, it was a new position that was hired about 2 years ago. Land use was developed to try to expand potential expansion of what the town would like to do and be done. It was priorly, most of the job was funded in terms of the larger items funded, the town manager controlled that. The rest was handled through two other people in the land use department. Those positions are down there now, although we've changed both those positions. So that, some of the work done there would have to be modified. But in terms of town planning at a gross level, that was handled before and probably would be again in the town manager's office.
Other discussion?
I just, with the cuts we're making, there's got to be some impact, and that's my concern.
There's bound to be some impact, but it depends on how much is picked up again and by the experience of the people that we hired in terms of the town manager. I just would tell you, in my position, I did the grosser planning for that. I did not do the more detailed planning of where a sign would be located. That was usually done downstairs in the land use office by any one of 3 people that were down there. So the work would have to be realigned to some degree.
Anyone else? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Yep. 5-1-1. E4.
For E4, Police Deputy Chief, which is currently vacant. There is no one in that position. It's administrative salary. Account number 1-210-190, 4 again. The position was $110,000. This was to eliminate the police deputy chief position previously budgeted, currently vacant. To my knowledge, we never had that position filled in the past.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Troy, is there a second?
Second.
Paul, discussion?
So why do we still have the 132,000 in the budget, Bob?
That's the chief. That's the total budget of all the salaries down there. That's the chief and,
I understand, okay.
okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you move on that? Okay. E5.
Oh, no, we need.
No, I don't think you did.
Hold on.
Yeah, I didn't think we did. Okay.
All in favor? Opposed? 6-1.
Okay, E5, police, new positions, 2 patrol, 1 sergeant. Again, 2 vacant positions have never been filled. Department 210, labor, skilled, and professional salaries, account number 1-210-192, again, all zeros. So the total department is in there. So this is a reduction of $261,000. This was to eliminate the requested positions. Let me just comment on that. We are currently have 4 open officer positions. 3 of those are really filled. We had 1 transfer from another town. 2 are in school right now, or in the academy, will be out soon. So, and we will have to hire 1 more of those positions. This does not affect filling out our roster of officers. This was for an additional sergeant and 2 additional officers, which we, I think there was more concern from the chief. We had such losses in the past to make sure we were continuing the funding to make sure someone was next in line. So I've assured the chief we start looking right away. Given that we have completed negotiations for a new police, all of our salaries in terms of their new contract, we think we probably eliminated that need to maintain this constant search. So you all have to approve that, and we couldn't do it this evening. We couldn't get all the personnel that are here needed or required to do that, our labor attorney and our police chief. So in another week or so, I'm going to ask you, maybe a special meeting to approve that contract. But, so this elimination here is not eliminating any of the existing police positions that we have.
And that includes the new hires that are in, either at the academy.
Right, this does not include them. We will fill out our roster completely with the 4 that we've been down.
Do we have a motion?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Just for everybody's knowledge, there is an increase in $289,000 on the salary line in the police department. And also, well, the LCD moved from somewhere else, but there has been a large increase in the salary line item for current police officers in current positions.
Yes,
That's all part of the new contract.
Yes.
correct.
So if people are wondering why these line items, we're supporting what's there already. And, we have to do all we can, but we have a large amount of an increase already.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Troy? Is there a
Second.
Bill? Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? 6.
E6, holiday pay, this is really an adjunct to what we just discussed. Again, it's Department 210, holiday pay, account number 210-192-0010-40. So this is $14,000. This is the holiday pay reduction related to elimination of required new positions. So these are the positions we didn't have, and this would have been the holiday pay associated with those positions, which were eliminated.
Just one correction, Bob, it's requested positions, not required, right? Because you just said required. Want to make sure we get that on the record. These were the additional.
I misspoke.
Requested.
Be darned, it's the first mistake I've ever made. No, just kidding.
Hopefully the last.
Okay. All right.
Is there a motion?
You just wanted to say requested, not the required.
Sorry.
I'll make
Thank
a
you.
motion.
I had too many words here.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Okay, we're on to E7.
E7.
E7 Highways, Recreation Shared Maintainer. I'd like to look at both of those. E8, which Highways Recreation Shared Maintainer. This was to hire an additional person. It says general labor. This was Department 311. 30% to be allocated to highways, 30% to recreation. Although we've got highways, recreation, that's just the way we were splitting the labor costs within the departments. So that position is currently vacant. It has never been filled, and we're suggesting to not fill that position. So this,
It's not currently an approved position.
right. So it's eliminate the new requested position, really. So both lines, it's one person we're saying to eliminate that, which is not currently filled.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Seeing none? And once again, this is one position. All in favor? Opposed? 5-2. E9.
Okay, so now we've got E9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are all benefits that would have been related to a lot of these positions above. So this isn't people. This is, so you have to approve each line, though. So let's start off with 918, retirement. This is the police, this is the Seamers plan, which is part of the whole pension plan. 1-918-230, triple lot 1, 4 zeros to follow. This is to reduce retirement contributions for positions which were eliminated above.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? E10.
E10, this is now the same, again, defined benefits contribution, the town match portion, account number 1, 918-230, 4 4 aughts afterwards. This is $12,723 to reduce the 401A employer match contributions for the above eliminated positions.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Troy. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Can I just interrupt for 1 minute?
Sure.
Those line items will have to be revamped. I'll need to rework the next couple if the assessor's line item is not being cut.
Yes.
So these numbers are not correct.
Yeah, so that's why we're saying we're anticipating, since we haven't finalized, until we do, we're trying to give us our best guesstimate of where we stand at this point in time.
So you're saying E10 through E13?
No, just,
E13 is okay. E10 and E12, I can revise the numbers if you like.
but no decision's been made yet in order for you to do that.
Well, what I'm saying is that the assessor's position was not reduced, so therefore, you have to change E10 and E12 to keep the money in there to be accurate. Otherwise, we're gonna motion tonight, and then we're gonna come back and motion
I
again.
got it. You understand that,
So I
Emily?
would hold, if you're gonna do things in real time, great. If not,
Just adjust it?
I would hold E10 and E12 right now. But we could do E11 and E13, you said?
Yep, 13 is,
Yes.
yes.
So we just did E9, so now we can do E11. So I'll make a motion on E11 for unemployment compensation, 1-918-250, 4 zeros, 4 zeros, to adjust the line item upward to $100,000 from $15,000 for a change in $85,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
People, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? 601.
Okay, 12? I think
We
we're,
can do 12, we can do 13.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing my line. No, we can do 12 and 13 because they were eliminated above.
No.
This was related to the police.
So 12, FICA
Yep.
will go to a reduction of 43,773.
Okay, so
43, 773.
73.
773.
So I'll make a motion for line 1, 918-900-0001, and 4 zeros, to reduce that line item by $43,773.
Second.
Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
what do we got left?
You got
13?
E10?
You made.
Did you adjust that?
She did it on the fly.
Oh, she's got it on the computer
Not
there.
on the fly here. That should be a reduction of 8,350. Hang on, let me make sure. 8,350.
Okay.
So that should go
I make a
198.
motion-
175, sorry, from 175 down to 166,650.
For time reasons, I'll make a motion to reduce line 1-918-230-004, 4 zeros, by $8,350.
Second.
Got it.
Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? E13?
13 now is health insurance. That's account number 1-918-900, 0002, 4 zeros. This was health insurance cost reductions related to positions, eliminated positions.
That number should change too, right? No,
No, that number
No, that number won't
would not.
there's no benefits in this, that's,
Correct.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is there a
the be-
motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Troy. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. One of the bills?
Go ahead.
Discussion.
You could have this one, Bill.
All in favor? Unanimous? Anne Marie, can you give us the budget change total for that?
You gotta give me a few minutes because I have to,
She's got to do
Okay,
a few
we can come back
adjustments
to
there.
that.
Yeah.
let me roll them through the whole thing and make sure my schedule balances to one another. I wanna make sure that this balances before I give you.
Okay, other proposed reductions, adjustments,
Want to go
E14?
E14, this is police, this is contracted services. The LCD is underneath them. This is account number 1-210-831-0001 4 So it's a $95,000 reduction in the dispatch services from LCD.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bill. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Discussion.
Ambulance, we had discussion about this just previous.
Nope,
Want to vote on it?
Jumping the gun, Bob.
All in favor? Unanimous? Now you're up.
Now we're up. E15, ambulance transfer for outside agency, account number 1-215-805-4040. This is a $100,000 reduction to reduce the amount requested for additional ambulance paid service cost. This was based on the discussion we had the other night and the adjustment that he thought he could make with some of the other grant services, and I'm helping him on, working on his budget as well. So we believe this gives him what he needs, and that's why it's in here the way it is.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Troy. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to note, I'm trying to find the line item, even with the $100,000 reduction that we're making now, ambulance is up by,
It's in the-
here it is, it's still up by, my eyes can't see little numbers, but
I know.
240,000 is the change, so it's still up by, what's it, no, dollar changes, $240,000 more than it was last year on top of the 180.
Yep.
And 180 last year was up 100,000 from the year before. So it's still a
2 years.
$240,000 increase on ambulance so that people can make sure services arrive in the middle of the night.
We had pretty extensive discussion the other night. We have got some serious response time and lack of adequate personnel to respond to these needs. I think you all heard that, and we're pretty satisfied. I noticed Kurt out there. Kurt wrote a pretty good article that referencing that discussion.
Yeah, for those watching, this adds a second full-time team to our ambulance department because we are woefully understaffed with the lack of volunteers, and response times are getting to the uncomfortable point, so.
And nearby towns do not have sufficient capacity to give us the support that we need.
And I'd like to say, Bob, that I think that small increase versus the liability the town takes, should we miss a call.
We've got a big liability there.
Yes,
We're close to missing calls
Is a
now.
huge liability there. And I think the way it was presented to us was an excellent presentation that explained
Okay.
that in detail.
All in favor? Unanimous? E16.
Okay, E16, operating transfers out, transfer to capital to the general fund, from the general fund, account number 1001-179, 4. So that's that, you see in there, $2,748,752 to reduce the general fund capital funding.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Bill. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? 5-1-1. E17.
E17, operating transfers out. This is Department 101 again, transfer to capital from the fund balance, account number 11001-179, 1001000. So it's $2 million to increase fund balance allocation for capital funding.
Is there a motion?
Okay,
No, I was gonna, go, so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
a second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta be really careful here. I mean, this is a monumental, mill rate, start for a board, and, you know, using 2 million out of our out of our general fund to pay capital, I mean, I know it's gonna keep the mill rate down, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that. We need to spend money that we take in. We don't need to be borrowing money to pay our budget. We have to be more responsible and look forward when things like this happen, like what we got presented with this year. So, that's just what I'd like to say.
Katie?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment. The fund balance reserves have come from the money that has been put in over especially the last few years, that have pushed us from the 16.7% recommended fund balance by, you know, our auditors, by our finance director, et cetera, and has pushed our money in reserves up to, what was it, 24%?
24%.
24%. So by using this $2 million, instead of taking it from everyday property taxes, taking it from money that has already been paid by property taxes or money that we've already gotten from grants, allows us to continue with the work of the infrastructure that the town has fell behind in for a lot of years when money wasn't coming in because somebody was taking it. So there's been a large backlog within infrastructure. So this money allows the money that we have to keep working and to keep moving the town forward with projects to get things repaired, to get equipment in, and to do things. Now, I'm not talking about what specific line items that, you know, you may have a disagreement on in terms of what infrastructure project to do, but the money in general is there. If it just sits in the account, it's not helping the town move, and it's above what we need for an emergency fund and above what we need to do our own financing that saves us thousands and thousands of dollars. So I think that we didn't even get down to 16.7. The 2 million takes us to what, Anne Marie?
About 18.
18? Yeah, so we're still above the recommended amount, but we're getting work done. So I take an opposite view on that piece of it. The operating budget, I think, is a little different.
Right.
Yeah, Troy, if this was, I'll just follow up on your comment. If this was getting taken and put into the general fund for everyday expenses, I would be opposed to it as well. This is money that's been saved, money that taxpayers put in, money that the taxpayers would like to see go to capital improvements that we desperately need. And to Candy's point, we're well below the 16.7 threshold. And, I'm sorry, well above the 16.7 threshold. And that's what this money's for.
I'm understood, and I have no problem with funding capital things. I'm just saying that we need to be more proactive in not using money that we don't have to fix things, is what I'm trying to say. If we made
This
positions
is money that
where...
we do have, though. This is in our savings account.
Understood,
Okay.
but it's a rainy day fund, and we're robbing the rainy day fund to pay for capital improvement projects that we have a bond out for that was meant to do some of these capital improvement projects also. But what I'm saying is, you don't want to spend more than you take in, and that's what's been happening. And I'm just saying, looking forward, we should, you know, make sure that we set aside money for things that are going to come here and surprise us like it did this year. That's all I'm saying.
But that's not what's been happening, Troy. We're not spending more than we take in. As a matter of fact, last year's, if you look at the audit, we put more money into the savings account.
But you didn't put anything away for the increase in the education cost and all the other
Because
things that
you
came in
don't
that
put
were
money-
high.
I'm not saying, we didn't put money, we put money away because it was there and because of wise decisions, also happenstance with people that weren't hired, or whether it was the police not hired or the public works not hired. So this money has gone back in to fund things, and we haven't run the deficit, and we don't prepay operating costs.
No.
We've been fortunate to have this money saved.
I mean, you haven't even, you know, the board hasn't even funded the public works department for years, and that's why the roads aren't getting done. I went through the whole thing with Jimmy, and there's actually no line item for paving. Everything has to come out of that line item, which is ridiculous. So,
Well,
I mean, that's what I'm saying, pre-planning is what needs to be
Well,
done here.
Okay, I won't continue back and forth.
Okay, good.
All right, let's move on. We have the motion, we have the second. All in favor? Opposed? Troy, were you in favor or opposed?
Opposed.
6-1. E18, do you want to?
E18, I'll just give you his, there's no financial cost of this because this was something you asked about and it hasn't been completed. This was Board of Education, Department 1000, account number 1-1000-100-1000 again, 4 aughts. This was the school budget and it just said the potential for conversations to see if any of that could be modified. So that is yet to be determined, based on your request.
And where did you figure out that column total?
So your revised expenditure total
Yep.
should be 41,739,292.
Actually, no, discuss it now. She said,
Thank you.
that concludes this
Yep.
list.
Moving on to,
Before you leave to other line items on the agenda, is that where you're going, or are you going somewhere else?
I was going, go ahead, what do you?
Because I still got what I want to talk about.
Okay,
budget.
go ahead, sorry.
So before you move on to new business B, at the end of the meeting, we should decide as a group if we are ready for a public hearing and want to move forward from what we just did now for a public hearing, or do we need another workshop meeting to wait for Bob to come back with education costs or other things within the budget? We also have this list that we got for capital. We could talk about it now, we could talk about it at another meeting. After public hearing, if we did a public hearing, we have until April 26th, right?
You have to have your public hearing before the 15th.
No, before the 15th, but we have till April 26th for budget revisions. So we have 3 weeks, a little under 3 weeks, to continue to make changes to the budget as we need them. So we don't, there's not a big rush, but there is trying to get to that public hearing before the 15th. So,
You don't want to do it tonight.
so just how we want to proceed moving through, because we have this budget sitting right in front of us, so.
Yeah, you got 3 weeks.
I don't think we're ready to do a public hearing, and that's my outlook.
Yeah, I think we need to get the, couple of these other items discussed. I think we also need to have some of the idea what the Board of Ed is gonna do. And then, hopefully, in the next week, we'll get to a point where we can schedule the public hearing.
Yeah, I agree.
So logistically, just because I seem to be obsessed with logistics, so this week is the 1st through the 5th. The 15th is
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now. So if we wanted to do a public hearing, it would have to be either on the 15th or the week of the 8th. So if we were gonna make more decisions on the budget, we would need another meeting in between the public hearing date. So Todd, I think you had a suggestion for the public hearing date.
Yeah, the 10th could be, or you're back for the 10th. So we're having a special meeting on the 10th for the police contract approval. We could schedule a public hearing at that date as well. That is a Wednesday. Is everyone open on that day?
The 6 o'clock time is gonna be a challenge for me. I didn't get a chance to respond, but 6 o'clock is tough.
So if we have the public hearing that day, then we should have the another budget workshop discussion either on the 4th, this Thursday, next Tuesday,
You're back
Or-
Tuesday?
yeah, or push the hearing to the 15th, which is our regular meeting.
I'd like to do it like next Tuesday. That gives more time to find out about education and all that.
Okay. So
Do you have
Tuesday,
a time, because water and sewer is on that day, too?
we can probably go in the blue room then, unless they're in the blue room.
They're usually in the blue room, water and
Should
sewer.
we do it early after work, or?
I can't be before 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock next Tuesday work?
Oh, Anne Marie, can you,
Water and sewer's at 6, so 7 will probably be, we're gonna be here anyway, yeah.
that's a workshop.
Probably work.
Yep, a workshop.
We'll talk fast.
Does that mean we're taking the public hearing to the 15th or the 11th?
Tuesday's the 9th, right?
Tuesday the 9th is a workshop
Right.
to get ready for public hearing.
Yeah, so we
Can the public hearing be on the 15th during our next regular meeting?
It can be, but
Yeah.
we can't tip over that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
the absolute
So
deadline.
no,
That's the
no
deadline.
snowstorms are on the 15th.
Spring will come.
Okay, so we'll set the public hearing for the meeting on the 15th. And a workshop on next Tuesday. Yep.
So we said Tuesday the 9th at 7?
Yes.
Board of Ed is in here.
Board of Ed's in here, but we could be in.
Yeah, we can be in another room. Probate should be open. Do you want to move on the capital improvement schedule? You approve that, those changes that were made last week?
Accept this schedule.
Yes.
So if we accept this schedule, we can still make changes to it next time we meet.
I would propose you do that.
So if we accept this schedule, then we would, the next time, work off of this schedule.
Okay.
So we're not finalizing it, we're just accepting the schedule as the next working document?
Yeah, it would be, it's kind of like finalizing it, and like if we all didn't ever come back to another budget workshop maybe, then it would be finalized, but if we come back, you can still change it.
And can you just have a refresher on the color codes? I know what the green is, those were committed items. What's the purple?
That's the items that have changed since the last version that you received. So I got rid of all the yellow and put in the purples.
Thank you.
Just one line item that did get changed, was the was the reval. So there is money left over, in the reval, so that came down from 60 to 40,000, because I did recalculate based on the money that's left over from the last reval, and extrapolating that out for the remaining 4 years until the next reval, so that's why that line item came down at the very bottom.
On the very bottom. Okay, purple. So I'll make a motion that we accept the capital improvement project fiscal year 2025 as presented in this working draft of April 1st, 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
I don't lose this. We need to make changes.
Anything else? Moving on to new business item B, 24-14,
24,
proposed line item transfer.
line item transfer. The town of Winchester, as amended, provides for the intra-departmental transfers of funds. This is one such. Upon the request of the manager, but only within the last 3 months of the fiscal year, the Board of Selectmen may, by resolution, transfer any unencumbered appropriation, balance, or portion thereof from one department, commission, board, or office to another. No transfer shall be made from any appropriation for debt service or other statutory charges. Notwithstanding the above, no transfer shall be made from any appropriation for an uncompleted capital improvement or from a department sinking fund without the approval of the town acting by referendum. So here I have I'm requesting the Board of Selectmen consider the proposed line item transfer. If you look down here, we're talking, in accordance with Section 914, Finance Director Anne Marie Rayold has requested transfer of funds to cover fiscal year '23 year-end deficits. So if you look down here on the Recreation Department, holiday pay $740, background checks $350, for a total of $1,090, to transfer it within the Recreation Department to contracted labor amount $1,090. So this goes to the Recreation Department, which I need to quote the line items for you. So from Department account number 1, 0812-194-001, 4 zeros, and account number 1, 0812-842, 4 aughts and 4 more aughts, background checks, to Recreation Department line 1-0812-832, 4 aughts, 4 aughts. So I recommend that the board approve the line item transfer as stated above.
Is there a motion?
So
Thank you, Troy. Bill, second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Item B, 24-15, proposed opioid settlement fund request.
Background, Sarah Toomey, lead community outreach and recovery navigator for Greenwoods Counseling, is asking the town allocate $2,500 of the opioid settlement funds to be used for Narcan leave behind kits. As part of the state legislation, EMS personnel are required to provide antagonist kits, Narcan, following an opioid overdose. Winstead Area Ambulance responds to approximately 40 opioid overdoses per year in Winchester, Winstead. Greenwood Counseling is working with each town to establish a leave behind kit program and asking for these funds to be used for these leave behind kits. So we ask the Board of Selectmen appropriate $2,500 of the opioid settlement funds to Greenwoods Counseling to supply these kits as described above. Being from the opioid settlement funds, these allocations will not have any direct taxpayer impact. I move that the board allocate $2,500 of the opioid settlement funds to Greenwoods Counseling to be used as above.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Troy. Discussion, Bob, this 2,500 is still there after the other?
Yes.
Okay.
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah, we've been watching that carefully because there's lots of fingers touching that, so we're keeping it, we're making sure we don't overextend ourselves there.
Any other discussions? All in favor? Unanimous? Item D, 24-16, proposed line item transfer.
Okay, item D, the background, the town of Winchester provides for this another interdepartmental transfer. I read you how that works above. So what I'm asking here is from one part of the police department to another. So account number 1-021-811-00003, emergency response team, there is $2,500 in there. We would like to transfer to, within the police department, to account number 1-021-826-000, maintenance of equipment for the amount of $2,500. So I move that the board approve this line item transfer.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor?
Oh,
Steve?
No, just a question. We had budgeted $2,500 for an emergency response team, but we're not a member of a response team.
This is, I think, that under our line item budget, that's within our own department as an emergency response. I don't think this is an exterior.
Oh, I understood as exterior.
I'm sorry, yeah, this was within the police department itself.
Okay.
All in favor? Unanimous? Item 24-17, proposed line item transfer.
Okay, same definitions as above, I won't reread that. This is a line item transfer from the town manager's line item to another line item within the town manager. So on item, account number 1-111-811-40, training and education, $1,000, to line item, account number 1-111-806-001, under purchase and maintenance of office equipment. So it's $1,000 transfer within the town manager's department. I recommend that you approve this line item transfer.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
It's all yours.
Thank you, Bob. Moving on to item 11, citizens' comments. Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. David?
Thank you, Mayor. My name is David Gordon LaPointe. I reside at 11 Hillside Avenue. I happen to be the taxpayer advocate for the Winchester Taxpayers Association. And I just want to say, I want to thank all of the selectmen tonight. I know your job is not easy, for sure. I've dealt with a lot of selectmen in previous years, and your job is a good job because you volunteered for it, and you make the hard decisions. Tonight, I just want to say, as taxpayer advocate, I believe you made a right decision. And that decision was to fund the social service director. Because the charter that you swore to says you should. For several years, it was unfunded, both under Republican and Democrat administrations. Unfortunately, times are tough. Some say, and call it Bidenomics. Some say it's because of Trump. We all have an opinion on that, right, Bob?
Yes, we do.
Yes. So, I just want to say, I want to commend you again for being here and making the right decisions. But second, I want to say, the last board made a terrible decision. And that decision was in an amended contract, not like Bob's contracts were, which were open, and he was very open. We had an open door when Bob was here all the time, and whenever the Taxpayers Association asked for information under the Freedom of Information Act, Bob and the former managers would right away give it to us without cost. And it was small amounts of information, but pertinent to both the media and to the Taxpayers Association. What I found out through a little birdie in town hall was that the past town manager, Joshua Steele Kelly, in his last 2 paychecks, garnered over $100,000 in a balloon severance pay that the Taxpayers Association and citizens were unaware of, including the media was unaware of. And when I asked for that information, I kind of got the runaround. But I eventually got the information. And let me just say, I don't come to town hall to harass anyone. I don't come to town hall to tell anybody what they got to do, other than let me see the information or let me have the information. To Bob's credit and to the previous town managers, all the way since Steve Angelo, I've gotten information. This last town manager, I was stymied. And then he put forward and he upped it, and the previous board doubled the cost of Freedom of Information. But I think it's disingenuous, and I use that term because Selectman Sadilak always uses that term. It was disingenuous of this board the previous board, not this new board, to say that they lowered the town manager's pay and he's not taking a raise, and they praised him. Jack Bork sat there where Mr. Pozo's sitting and praised him for not taking a raise. But then when he decides to leave, all of a sudden he gets this big windfall. And I don't know if the mayor was aware of it. I don't know if the Right Honorable former mayor, Ms. Perez, was aware of it. But I think it's atrocious when we're struggling to find the monies for all of these good things like the ambulance, like what, the Narcan kits and everything, which thank God it was a grant. But I hope the press reports this because Mr. Kelly left us hanging. And I call him a carpetbagger, and he took the carpet with him with a big windfall. And that's not right, but thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, David. Anyone else wish to speak? Sarah?
Sarah Toomey, Lead Community Outreach Recovery Navigator at Greenwoods Counseling and Referrals. I live Wallensville Road, Barkhamsted, but own property on John Grappo Drive. I just wanted to say thank you all very much for the opportunity to have the funding come. If it was not for that funding, we would not be able to actually put together these Narcan leave-behind kits, which is a requirement from the state of Connecticut. I was planning on answering any questions that you all had this evening about any of the work that we're doing in Winstead, but it doesn't seem like you have any questions. But anytime, if anybody is interested in having a conversation about the work that's going on with the opioid epidemic and what we're doing, I'm always happy to answer questions because a lot of work is being done. And then I also wanted to thank you for keeping the social services position on the table. I work very closely with Katie Vale, and it's a really important position and has done a lot of great work in the community. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, Sarah. Anyone else wish to speak? Nora?
Nora Mokarski. I reside at 605 West Wakefield Boulevard, and I'm here today in my capacity as board chair of the Winchester Board of Education. And I know each one of you can look to a teacher that's changed your lives and the importance of education in any community. And I'm going to get a little bit of social studies going on because I am a social studies teacher. Jefferson did believe only an educated citizen could make the American experiment in self-government a reality. You're all sitting here because of a teacher, and self-government is the essence of New England governance. So I want to certainly promote what we have here in our system, and I want to continue the legacy that we've turned around since 2015, and I realize I don't have much time to talk. So part of my audience is to you. Some of you were already hearing from me before, but my audience is also the public that may not have been out to the hearing that we had before. We voted unanimously for this Board of Education budget, and I'm hearing that we're going to have a meeting here at the same time you will probably be discussing the Board of Education budget, so I need to be verbalizing our opinions here. We worked collaboratively over several hours since November, working with the Superintendent Melanie Stanley, to work with both the taxpayer needs as well as the student needs. And so we've carefully weighed all of that with $3.3 million in creative grant funding monies. We also voted unanimously as a Board of Education because, as you know, Melanie's been here a little bit over 6 years. She is nothing but fiscally conservative, wise in the use and the spending of the monies here. She's never spent recklessly, so everything that she's put forward to you has absolutely been measured and weighed. We also voted unanimously because, yes, indeed, student performance has increased. Kids are very happy to come to school. Our reading programs have motivated students through iReady to actually engage in the reading of it. And as you know, the drone competition has brought kids from all of New England to come, and we've pushed kids to the national competition. That's a far cry from where we were in 2015. And we also voted unanimously because an investment in the public school system is an investment overall to our community. We know businesses will want to come here, families will want to come here, and so it's a long-term investment that we think we have found that has provided us a reputation that I think is well worth it. How much time do I have left? Because I'm going to keep going until you kick me out of here. Our achievements include 72% intervention services, both in grant and appropriated funding for the kids in need. Our achievements have included, as I mentioned, the drone program. Our iReady program has motivated kids pre-K through 6 to read and want to be readers. 92% of our kids identify with an adult in the building, and that's no easy task. They're connected to our district. They want to come to school. Chronic absenteeism, which is a national crisis, has actually not been really our issue here. It's down 7% from the previous years. We do have unfunded mandates from the state of Connecticut that we have embraced, one being our language arts program that we've used as an opportunity to look at how we're dealing with kids in our reading program. Amplify Reading Program has been something that's been paid for by grants, whereas other districts have been required to pay for out of pocket. So, PDAC has been revisited. That is our teacher evaluation system. That has also been working here. Our sustainability program, our homework club, is something you've been funding, and we need to keep funding. And our in-district special ed services have actually yielded more money here, bringing it back to the community instead of outplacing our kids. So we've really done some really bang-up jobs in the last several years under Melanie's guidance, and it's a forward direction, I think one that we need to continue on, and we hope to look favorably from your decisions when you meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Last chance to speak. Vote. No?
Willie's silent.
Will we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?